badassing your way through history. I am Daniel O'Brien, head writer for Cracked.com, and full disclosure, I love presidents, so if I had my druthers, every president would have his own movie, except Millard Fillmore, who, fuck that guy. He's the worst. Do you hear me, Fillmore's ghost? Get at this. I'm ready. But I also know that this is the internet, and people won't click on a video titled 42 Presidents Who Deserve Their Own Movie. So, hey, look, it's me, selling out. If you know one thing about Grover Cleveland, it's we had a president named Grover. That's a Muppet name. To which I'd say, actually, that's his middle name. His first name was Stephen. To which you'd say, nerd. So I'll just move right on to the second thing that people think of when they think of Grover Cleveland. He served 2 non-consecutive terms. That's basically all you need to know to ace the Grover Cleveland portion of your middle school history midterm because, whatever, our public school system is broken. But if you were actually a living, breathing, sexual human American during Cleveland's reign as president, you know that Cleveland was synonymous with honesty. In 1884, the American people had grown sour on the idea of big government and assumed all politicians were corrupt. Cleveland emerged as a man of the people who told it like it was and always did the right thing. A big, walrus-looking sack of refreshing honesty, which made it all the more surprising when he lied to the entire nation. See, Cleveland, during his presidency, found out that he had cancer in his fucking head. He didn't want the world to know that he had cancer, so he only told a group of about 6 people that didn't include his vice president, whose name was Gonzo Hugging Stuff, because shut up, you're not gonna look it up. Cleveland brought this special team of doctors on a boat to perform the surgery at sea so no one could possibly walk in on them. The refreshingly honest President of the United States staged a secret cancer removal surgery over a holiday weekend on a boat to hide his condition from everyone. The doctors even went in through the mouth so as not to leave scars and also to make the whole thing just as gross as possible. If a small team of professionals secretly breaking into the mouth of a president to remove face cancer isn't the plot of an Ocean's 11-esque heist movie, I don't know what is. You know, like Shame, or Filth, or Choke. One of those movies. Kennedy was a president for some amount of time, during which I assume many interesting things happened. But what I'm here to talk to you all about today is boning, of which Kennedy did lots. John, the F stands for what you'd happily let him do to your girlfriend Kennedy, admitted to friends that he could not be satisfied if he didn't have sex at least 3 times a day, and told the Prime Minister of the UK that if he went more than 3 days without having sex, he would get terrible headaches, which, were that my problem, my head would literally burst into aneurysms, just all the time. His list of sexual exploits included Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield, Angie Dickinson, Florinda Balkan, and if you happen to have a grandmother who worked within 5 miles of the White House during Kennedy's administration, I'm very sorry to be the one to tell you this, but yes, her too. Your grandmother. There's nothing personal. He's just a handsome robot that needed vagina to fuel his engines. And your grandma was like, I have some vagina. And he was like, need. This fake movie isn't about sex robots, though shotgun that idea. It's about a sex addict. There are plenty of movies that show Kennedy the hero, or Kennedy the complicated man, or Kennedy the guy who got shot real bad. But I want a gritty, dirty Kennedy, like Michael Fassbender in Shame, or James McAvoy in Filth. Just a crazy, self-destructive Kennedy stumbling around the country all braggadocio and dick swagger. Can we get John Hamm to do it? Whoa, that's way too long of a title. Daniel, make a note. Edit the title card down to something usable before you film this thing. Oh, fuck, I already read that off the teleprompter. I'm an idiot. We can fix that in post, right? I'm an idiot. Awesome, great, thank you. Anyway, Chester A. Arthur, brief history lesson. In 1860s America, all of the real power went to what was known as political machines. Corrupt, behind-the-scenes organizations responsible for all of the sorts of crimes that white people with money get to commit. The New York Custom House was the most powerful of these machines. It collected tariffs on just about everything that came into America, which it could then use to financially back the presidential candidate of its choice. Meaning that presidents were reliant on maintaining a good relationship with political machines. People vote, sure, but the machines could actually make someone president. And Arthur was one of the 3 people who ran the New York Customs House and enjoyed lots of money, unchecked power, and slimy handshakes for years until President Rutherford fired him. You know, for crimes. Arthur, hoping to regain some of that prestige and influence, hand-shook his way into being the Republican nominee for vice president under James Garfield. Then Garfield got shot, on a Monday I bet, and Arthur became president, and here's where it gets cool. Given Arthur's past, you'd assume that he would keep doing business as usual and be the most corrupt president ever, perpetuating and strengthening the power of the political machines that for so long lined his pockets. But no! Arthur used his knowledge of the corrupt political machines to destroy them. All of his former shitty friends, the people who made him so powerful in the first place, he systematically took them down. He completely defanged them like only he, as a former insider, could do. It's like Denzel Washington, an American gangster, helping Russell Crowe take down New York's worst drug dealers, and also like Frank Lucas in real life, I guess. If you don't think Martin Scorsese could make an interesting mini-series about Chester A. Arthur's rise to corrupt power, fall from corrupt power, rise to legitimate power to undo all of his past wrongs, then you're a bad person. You're wrong. A mini-series would be awesome. Get DiCaprio all fat and mutton choppy. Let him do a funny voice. It'd be great. Spoiler alert, Herbert Hoover died. I guess that shouldn't be a spoiler alert, technically, but I mean that Hoover died before anyone thought he died. Like, he was a sick child, and a doctor said, this kid's fucking dead. And his parents were like, that's fair. So they put pennies on his eyes and covered him with a sheet, which was custom back then for when people died, and declared him dead, which is custom still today. The only problem was that Hoover was super still alive. A few hours before his parents were probably going to bury him, Hoover opened his eyes and was like, damn it, I was just sick for a little bit. Cool it, I'm 2. I'll be fine. Which, of course, was an understatement. Once he fake died as a child, Hoover went on to absolutely crush the world. His parents died for real a few years after Hoover died for pretend, and Hoover, alone at 9 years old, fell in with a gang of young Indian boys who taught him how to hunt and fight and use a bow and arrow. He paid for his own education through various odd jobs, and when he graduated college, made a stupid amount of money in gold, which he turned into an even stupider amount of money in white people stuff, which he turned into food and supplies for World War I soldiers. He wasn't employed by the army or the government, mind you. He was just like, hey, I heard you guys like huge guns. I've got some money. Here you go. Pay me back or don't. Whatever. Hoova! Hoove! His favorite sport was a game called Hoover Ball, which is like volleyball, except instead of using a soft, bouncy volleyball, they use a 10-pound medicine ball. Described by a friend as more strenuous than either boxing or wrestling or football, Hoover Ball was the preferred sport among fearless, once-dead badasses and exclusively no one else. The Hoover movie that I want to see doesn't even touch on his presidency. I'd pay any amount of money to watch this little Hoover kid learn to fight and survive in the wild, just first act of Hunger Gamesing shit all day, then pick himself up by his bootstraps and make a fortune while also throwing 10-pound balls at his buddies. Why hasn't the movie been made yet? We got a J. Edgar Hoover movie first? Horseshit. Clint Eastwood? It's horseshit, I say. Is anyone even listening to me? Hi, I'm the Internet's Daniel O'Brien from just seconds ago. If you enjoyed that video and you'd like to learn more about presidents, go to your local library or go to your even localer computer and order my book, How to Fight Presidents, at howtofightpresidents.com. It's a book, and I wrote it. It's got president stuff in it. A lot of the same jokes that you just heard, but this time you have to read them, so. Thanks.